everyone, welcome to another episode of the Ismono Podcast. And I have again another returning guest, one of my favorites that I already talked to, I think 4 weeks ago on the Nomads Nation podcast, where we had a couple of spicy takes as well. We will continue with some spicy takes, but yeah, hello Roland. Nice to have you back again on the podcast.
Thank you, Bo. It's great to be back.
I do enjoy talking to you because you have this kind of radio, how do you call it, radio speaker vibe to yourself. Not only from your voice, but also the way how you speak, and you're very elegant in the way you phrase your sentences. And I mean that honestly. I'm really genuinely impressed always how the way you talk. You're an
Thank
entertainer.
you very much. Look, that's good to know because I am usually quite off the cuff. So I'm often wondering if like what I'm saying makes any sense, if what's coming out of my mouth is coherent.
It is.
So that's good to know. It's good feedback. Thank you.
You should. I mean, that sounds a little bit weird, but I think you should have like a show. Or I could see you being a host of a stand-up comedian thing, like introducing the comedians and stuff like that, and then kind of banter with them. I can't.
You mean like a late night talk show host or something?
Maybe, yeah. I can see that. Or being on radio. You should. Okay. I mean, you are in a band. After all.
Yeah.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, I play in a band, play in a rock and roll band. Look, to be honest, that's where it all comes from. That's where the experience comes from. I think so, because I have to talk to a room full of people at a pub.
That's true.
So I think you do have to be quite clear.
You have
to sort of be in command.
Do you have a lot of gigs, live gigs, actually?
Not anymore, but like I've played, like hundreds of shows.
Oh, wow.
But I'm an old man now. I wear cardigans and talk about bags and stuff. Yeah.
Before we keep going into the conversation, can you, for the 5 people who don't know you from my last podcast or from the Nomads Nation podcast, can you tell us a little bit about yourself or introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Roland. I'm one of the hosts on Rush Faster, currently on a little bit of a holiday from Rush Faster. Just had to take a little break. But we'll be back, and I'm in Australia, and I talk about bags a lot, and I love them too much. Let's be honest. It's a problem.
Yeah, it somewhat is. Do you ever get bored of bags? Do you feel like I am planning, or I already scheduled a talk with Chase Reeves actually, and I want to kind of talk with him about like getting older and being as long in the bag enthusiast world as he and I have been. I'm not sure how long you have been in this space. Do you know how many years it has been?
I have been into bags for probably about 5, like into bags for about 5 years.
Are you getting bored?
Where you would just buy and buy and buy. But I've only been a presenter on Rush Faster for 2. Am I getting bored? That's a great question. It's been interesting taking some time off Rush Faster.
Okay.
Because without that sort of... Because the content is a beast that needs to be fed.
Of course.
Right? And there's that pressure to always make the next video. And as soon as you get one product in, you use it, you write your notes, you write the script, you film it, you edit it, you're on to the next product. And it's just sort of this like non-stop cycle. So taking a little bit of a step back, I've actually kind of rediscovered a bit of a joy of bags.
Okay.
Without that pressure of having to sort of look at them super analytically, and think about everything really in detail and just sort of enjoy using the bags. I've bought a few bags since taking a bit of break from Rush Faster. I took a break from the beginning of the year, so I haven't been getting all the latest things sent to me. I used to have, I'm sure you do, boxes and boxes everywhere. It was a problem. That was
there are a couple over there.
But now I'm like, I'm on like Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree and Depop and eBay, and I'm seeing, like I bought a Filson briefcase the other day for like $90 somebody was like selling an old one for $90, and it's awesome. Like, because those things go for about this is in Australian, about $700 or $800, and then even the ones that are used that have that vintage sort of look go for almost just as much, sometimes even more. So to get one for $90 was a steal. Like, the person I bought it off obviously didn't know what they had. And like, it was really fun to get it, you know. It wasn't a latest and greatest product. It wasn't brand new either. And I just got it because it was a good deal, and I'd always wanted one, and it was something different, and I've really enjoyed getting it, and it was fun. So I think it's not that you get bored of them, it's that you can get a little bit sort of desensitized or dull, or just, what's the word? There's a word for it, Bo. What is the word?
You are the native speaker, English speaking person. This is just my second language. I can help you there.
There's a word in German for this for sure. Anyway, so it's still there, but I understand the desensitization to it.
I think that's a very good word. I think being bored might be a little bit too harsh, but I feel that at some point I kind of get sometimes a little bit tired. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, to move my stuff from one bag to the next one. And I just want to kind of use it more long term to develop the muscle memory of where I put stuff. Because I always have to kind of relearn that specific item is in that bag. And if you use something like for maybe 2 or 3 months, then you develop that muscle memory. Oh, my pen is in that compartment, you know? And I feel like as a bag reviewer, you do not develop that kind of being, is complacent the right word? Being very...
That might have been the word I was looking for, actually.
Very used to one move, you know? It's always there. And that bag or that item is always there, but we kind of have to relearn it at least every 3 weeks after we finished reviewing or using something, and then start all over again. And sometimes I feel like, I just want to use one bag for maybe a year or something.
Absolutely. And that's one of the criticisms that I often see on YouTube channels, or even any just product channels. They sort of say, oh yeah, it's fine, but like, you know, this person only used it for 2 weeks. How do they know what it's really like to use in like this situation or that situation? And that's exactly what I've done since I've stepped back, had a little break from Rush Faster. I've been trying to, hold on, I actually have it here. I've been trying to use this is one I actually bought with my own money. This is a Tom Bin Cynic 22. I'm a known fan of the Tom Bin, but I bought this one because it's like a funky color and it's a different material and it's a different bag designed to the synapses, that I had. And to just use that every day and just like not think about it, what bag am I grabbing? Just grab and go. And it's been really good. Obviously, I switch it out if needed. It's been good. May
I ask you a very controversial question? And I feel like I'm getting into hot waters now because
I was hoping you would.
Yeah, it's. I feel that Tom Bin is a very popular brand, and I consider you also someone who's very fashion forward and classy in the way you present yourself, like.
Okay.
I mean that very, very generally because I think
you're absolutely right. I am classy.
Is dapper a word actually? Is that a
dapper is a word? Yes.
That's when you are really fashionable, right? Is that correct? Dapper?
I think so. Yeah. I think there's an element of sophistication to the word dapper.
Do you think that Tom Bin is good looking? Because I feel it is very. It gives some bags give me somewhat of a daddy vibe, you know, when it's a little bit overloaded. It doesn't look that great.
I'm going to give you an even more controversial answer.
Okay.
Backpacks aren't sexy.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
Okay.
Talk to my wife. She's always like, if you're an adult, you're not supposed to wear a backpack. But I disagree, but I get the point.
I disagree with that because like there's a practicality to them. And I love actually how they make me feel. I feel prepared. I feel like I could go on an adventure.
Same.
It sort of calls back to my like school days where like your bag was your home as well. Like it was your thing anyway. But they're not sexy. You know, like no one's having sex with you because you wear a backpack, right? So what I like about Tom Bin is that like it is absolutely not that.
Yeah,
it's not even
I
trying.
see.
You know, like I think Evergoods is like kind of trying to be sexy. You know, like Air is kind of trying to be sexy.
Yeah.
And like they can't be. They can never be. And I think Tom Bin is sort of embraced that. You know the funny thing about Tom Bin? We say that no one's having sex with you because of your backpack, and that's probably true. But Tom Bin,
Best quote
and
ever.
I don't have their metrics on hand, their audience metrics, but there seems to be a lot of women that Tom Bin resonates with.
Interesting.
So I watched your Air vs Belroy video last night, and I think you mentioned that the genderless aspect of Belroy, you know, and I think you're spot on. I think Tom Bin has that too.
Interesting. I really like this perspective of Tom Bin being non-apologetic about it and just going all in and embracing what they are. Yeah, that is definitely something that I can respect. That is that's pretty cool if that is actually the case. If they just accidentally just don't know what they're doing and then it's like, yeah, wear the dad bags or the mom and dad bags, then it's strange. But if they actually know that and they just go all in and embrace what they are, then it's cool.
What people often say is that they're function over form.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I think some makers probably go the other way, but that's what people say. What I see in Tom Bin, and this, I don't resonate with all of their designs, but what I see is like a nod to the heritage style as well, like the sort of outdoors 70s sort of hiker, rock climber sort of vibe. And that's why I think it works so well in those funky colors, you know, where you wanted something bright because like it wasn't urban. There was like a safety aspect to it.
Yeah.
That was visible. I kind of dig that, you know. Yeah.
Speaking of hot takes, I was thinking about this question a couple of days actually, because on one hand I don't want to set you up for debate or attacks. So at first I was phrasing the question, what is the most boring bag, or what's the bag that you dislike the most? But I don't want to phrase it that way, but I rather want to ask you, what do you think, which bag is the one bag that could be improved the most, and more importantly, how would you improve it?
That's a really good
for the audio
question.
listeners. He's sweating now.
Oof.
He's getting nervous.
I could tell you a bag. This will be good. This will piss some people off. A bag.
I like
a
it.
bag brand that I've never resonated with is Mystery Ranch. I just think it's not that I think they're ugly. I've only had the Urban Assault 21.
Yeah.
I thought it was comfortable. Definitely a comfortable bag. I didn't feel particularly well made to my hands.
Okay.
I felt like they were sort of doing everything right in the construction, but it just felt like maybe they'd, I don't know.
Too much. For me, it was too much.
Cheaped out on something. But just the usability of it was just awful. And it's like, not everyone that wears them, but like whenever I see them, I really go that survivalist military man. Like that's where my head goes, you know, like whereas with even when I see a Rush 24 on some dude, I'm like, that guy has no idea what he's wearing. He just bought that backpack because it's big and like, you know, but yeah, with the Mystery Ranch, it sort of feels, I don't know. cosplay to me.
Wow, that is
but
a
like-
very hot take.
That's just that's just how I feel about them. You know, I wish I. Yeah, and like I've tried a couple of times. I go on their website. I'm like, what do they got? Is there anything here that like tickles my fancy? But it was looks aside, the usability I found really strange. Like the tri-zip thing. It's something that is there's always a little bit that like doesn't sort of quite close.
Yeah.
On the bit. Maybe I was doing it wrong, and it just feels like they've designed something cool that has an ingrained flaw.
I had the
That's
same.
no good.
I had the same feeling. I did have the 3-day assault pack as well, and
That's like the bigger version of the one that I had. Yeah,
I did not review it because of the same reasons that you mentioned, but also I just wasn't able to properly test it due to its military look, and I understand that many Americans kind of question this statement that I will say at the moment right way is, for me, it's too military, and I do not feel comfortable wearing military bags or a military styled bag anymore, to be quite honest.
what about the Go Rut?
That's, to me, it's different because it doesn't read military too much. I had the military green version, and it had this big old waist belt, a lot of strap, and with Gorak I feel I can get away with it, but that Mystery Ranch looked way too overwhelming for me. So imagine I would be the head of design of Mystery Ranch, and I'm come to you and say, Roland, we have problem. Either we need to switch up our branding or this bag overall. What would you change then to make it more appealing?
Well, you know what I do like, and it took me a while to figure out what was going on with the brand, because Mystery Ranch is a really big brand, right?
Yeah.
And I think they have other brands under them, and they've bought other brands. There's like a Cletterworks sack or something like that.
Okay.
And it was like, it's this old school discontinued sort of like, I guess it's like a hiking bag. It's called the Cletterworks Summit. And at the time that I was looking at it, it was only available vintage. I'm just looking at one online now.
Yeah.
Vintage Mystery Ranch Cletterworks Summit backpack, 20 liters, made in the USA. Oh, there's one available for $110 US.
Turquoise one. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, you're
as
looking
well.
at that one too.
That looks nice.
See, I like that look. And then there's down a Summit Day pack, which I think is new. No, but that's on Huckberry's website. But that look I like.
Yeah.
I like that
good.
look. It's more Cub Scout than it is military, you know, and it's got that vintage nod, which I like. I think that the styling of especially the Urban Assault line, I mean, it's in the name, isn't it?
Yeah,
Urban
Assault,
Like
yeah.
that's what they're trying to do, right? You put your AK-47 in there or something.
Yeah.
But it has that sort of that line, the Urban Assault line. I don't know, like I don't get the aesthetic. Like I don't know what they're trying to do. Like the vintage looking packs I get, like the really modern looking packs or the futuristic packs, like I get it. Mystery Ranch, it's just like camping gear for macho dudes.
Yeah. So you would recommend for them to kind of
soften it, just soften it a bit. I think is what I would want to see, because they have a lot of good stuff. Like I said, the harness system, I was amazed at how well that sat on my shoulders. Like just straight off the bat, it was quite comfortable. The tri-zip thing, I would love to see a different, like a half zip or a maybe if you wanted to keep that sort of big open mouth. I keep bumping my microphone. You know, I think Belroy call it the stadium zip, which is sort of like it's like a zzz,
Oh,
and then
it's like
the front sort of flops out like so you still get like that wide mouth access. It's not quite clamshell, it's not quite half zip, it's sort of in between the two. Anyway, that's probably the way that I would go. And then some fun colors. There's not enough fun colors in bags in general.
Agreed. It's just all too dark.
Black.
Yeah.
It's black. And like, the coyote thing is just like...
Do you see this military style bag? Is that still... what's the word? In vogue? Is it? Do you think it's still? It has a place at the moment?
Yeah, I think probably does. I think it probably depends on how it's sort of styled. You know, I think like I wear military I mean, so much of what we wear comes from the military anyway. Like t-shirts, the suits, the you know, like different shoes and jackets. Like a lot of that stuff sort of has its origins in the military. And I have, you know, like a vintage army shirt and then like a remade M43 jungle jacket, and like that stuff's cool. But I think, and I guess it's the perspective that the culture has at the time, that stuff has gone beyond military use. In some instances, those Vietnam clothes were worn by soldiers that had come home and were protesting the war. So there was sort of like that also anti-establishment aspect of the army uniform. Like, you know, you see John Lennon,
of course,
Jimi Hendrix sort of like were famous for wearing some of those clothes. So yeah, I guess it depends on the cultural moment. So it can definitely be, I think, incorporated for sure. Yeah,
I see that. Going to a little bit of a different topic, I would like to know, well, it's not a different topic, it's still about bags, but something that
It's a bag channel.
Yeah, but we can talk about other stuff as well, of course, but I still have a travel-related question that I'm very curious about. Long-distance traveling, are you a one-bag traveler or a check-in traveler?
I'm very enthusiastic about one-bag travel.
Okay, then I have a very interesting question for me, because I always wanted to try one-bag traveling, but I am always in fear that... So as far as I understand, some flights allow you to have a backpack or a carry-on and then a personal item, right? Maybe also like a small little sling bag or a purse if you're a female. I'm always afraid that they say, nope, you can't take that on board. You need to check in your carry-on. How do you manage that, or how do you kind of plan for that kind of situation to prevent someone taking your bag and checking it in? Especially long distance. I think domestic is a little bit more relaxed in that case, but long distance.
I thought it was the other way around because the planes are bigger.
Oh, okay.
For international.
Okay.
I could just be making that up. But that has been my experience in Australia, at least, that there have been more strict about checked baggage on local flights. The two big trips that I've one-bagged, the first one I used the air travel pack, and that was a long time ago, and that's a big bag. So I was a bit worried about that. Because it was the first time I'd done a big trip and used the one bag, so I sort of took too much stuff. You know, still took it in one bag, but took too much stuff. And there was no issue, but I suppose there could have been. It was probably something that I got lucky on, and like that wasn't a risk that I considered at the time. And also, if I had to check it, I had to check it. Like whatever. But the second time, I took a Tom Bin Synapse 25, which is like way below. What would be, you know, like way smaller than the maximum carry-on. So like that was not an issue because I'd learned the first time. All I really needed was like my toothbrush, couple of pairs of shirts and some undies and socks. And like, I don't know, what else do you need? Like What else do you need, really?
But do you only have the backpack then when you go one bag, or do you also carry a sling bag?
No, just the backpack.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, you just don't need anything. That's the thing. Like, you really don't need that much stuff. Like,
Okay.
the first trip I think was 7 weeks, and then the second one was 4 weeks.
Wow.
And
That's
I just,
impressive.
it's like, you wear your jeans and your shoes and your jumper.
Yeah.
Or your jacket, and then it's just shirt, socks, undies, and your toothbrush. And that sort of, passport, headphones,
Interesting. And so you kind of anticipate just going to washing center or something and then just wash your clothing. So therefore you don't bring that much.
In 4 weeks, you're gonna do that a couple of times.
Yeah, of course.
No matter what, right?
That's true.
So yeah, and socks and underpants, they're really easy. They're really small items, right?
Yeah.
And you can also wash them just in the sink.
I feel like shoes are the most troublesome if you potentially want to carry a second pair. Then
I just couldn't see it being worth it. Unless you're, you go and you do a lot of walking, right? So you want a pair of shoes that's going to be good for walking and comfortable. I made the mistake of bringing Converse shoes on that 7-week trip, and I was crippled when I got back. But the second time I wore a much more comfortable pair of shoes. But unless you're going to a wedding or you plan on going to very fancy restaurants,
sure.
Just one pair of good shoes that are nice enough, I guess, is sort of.
That's so impressive. Yeah.
It depends. It depends on who you are and what you want to do. I did actually both times bring my camera, but I brought the Fuji X-T30 and the 23 1.4, which is on the smaller side. I think I was able to fit both of those things into a Peak Design field pouch and put those in the bag as well. But that was the biggest item.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I always have been a person that checks in stuff, because one of the important, I wouldn't say main reason, one of the important reasons, I used to wear contact lenses, and I have these used to have these hard contact lenses. So I needed a lot of specialized fluids that were just not available in small containers. So I needed to check in. Therefore, I always had this big checking bag, and then if I have a big bag, I just go ahead and
check it in.
Pack it to the brim, basically.
Yeah.
So if I have that much space, let's pack it up. And furthermore, then I have camera gear with me that usually is way too much and completely unnecessary, because I am the person who likes to pack for redundancy. So then it's just not one charger, it's 2 chargers. It's not 2 batteries, but let's take 4 and stuff like that. So it adds up so quickly, and I want to reduce that, and I want to try one bag travel, but I've never been able to actually manage to do so. But
well, you know what, that would make a great Ismono vlog.
Yes, I'm trying to. But the next trip that I want to do in autumn is actually going to Thailand for a Muay Thai camp. So I have a lot of gear with me.
Oh, yeah.
So combat gear. Okay. And then I have to check it in anyways. So
no, just wear it on the plane.
Head guards, gloves, chin pads, and go in.
No one will come up to you and say, "Excuse me, sir, you have to check that bag."
That would be so funny. But it would take
It's probably pretty comfortable too, right?
I could sleep very
nice
well.
And easy
actually.
moving.
Yeah, I could sleep very well. So I have a 2-part question also for you, also in terms of long distance, but how do you entertain yourself, at home or when you have free time? Do you watch movies? Do you read a lot of books? Do you just listen to music, podcasts? Do you game? Or what's your preferred form of entertainment at the moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, it's a little bit of all of the above, really. I'm also probably a little bit of a workaholic. So I have a bit of trouble winding down.
I see.
Sometimes, and I'll work. I won't like work into the evening, but maybe after dinner I'll be like, oh, what should I do? Oh, I'm sort of thinking about this thing I'm working on. And because I make videos, right? Like, it's kind of fun work, and it's also satisfying to finish a video or to.
I get that.
That's usually what I'm doing. I'm usually editing, and that was like one of the reasons I needed to take a break from Rush Faster, because I was just like working every night, smashing out as many videos as I could. But yeah, like I've got a Nintendo Switch. I loved the new Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I usually am reading a couple of books either on my iPhone on the Books app, which I don't love, or like real books. I don't tend to listen to music at home. That's more of like an in-transit thing for me now. And yeah, at the moment, as far as watching television, I've been watching a lot of Doctor Who. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who.
Is it good?
I'm currently watching David Tennant's run. It's the best.
Do you think
it's the best?
I always wanted to try it, but I was a little bit overwhelmed by the amount that I can watch and I'm not sure what the right word is, the discussion or the chatter about which Doctor Who is the best, obviously. And so I wasn't sure, does it make sense to start from season 1, or can I just drop? Is there a season where you would say drop in there because they're not interwebbed? And do you need all of the lore and all of the backstory to understand it? Or so? No,
I don't think you do. I think you just need to know that like he's the Doctor,
Okay.
he's just a hero, he's smart, he's brilliant, he's charming, all that sort of stuff. But there probably are a couple of points that are easier to jump into than others. And I would say for anybody out there that's in the Venn diagram of Bags and Doctor Who or wants to get into Doctor Who, I would say, yeah, in terms of the new Who, when it was rebooted after the classic series, you want to start either at like season 1, episode 1, or season 5, episode 1, which is like the beginning of Matt Smith's run as the Doctor, because the whole thing sort of resets there. Or I think a really cool place that's going to be to jump in is the new Ncuti Gatwa Doctor that's just about to come up in like next month. I think that'll be a good place to jump in.
It's Disney Plus, right? Or is it on Amazon? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's Disney. I think it's Disney Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will try it because I just finished The Expanse and I need something new to watch or to binge through. So maybe I start Doctor Who. That sounds pretty interesting.
Well, it's like, if you like a bit of adventure, comedy, sci-fi, it's good. It's just good fun, Okay. That's more than anything.
Is it like a series with the Beast of the Week or the Monster of the Week, or is it all episode per episode? Are they connected? Like in X-Files, where you have one episode is one story and then you have another story and then another, or is it like a continuous story, like, I don't know, The Walking Dead or whatever?
No, it's probably like some seasons do have an arc, but it's more Beast of the Week.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But there is definitely like, there are recurring villains, and there's character growth throughout the series and the seasons. But you can just dive in. Like, there are some episodes that are standalone, just like some of the best sci-fi TV that you'll ever watch, and you could just jump into it and not know anything and be like, oh, these are crazy, scary monsters, and what a clever way to defeat them. But then if you do watch it and you understand like who all the characters are and like, how the Doctor has changed and like, it's always really sad. The Doctor Who is a hugely tragic show because you always know that the character of Doctor Who is going to die. And regenerate into the next incarnation of the Doctor.
Yeah.
So it's always sort of this sad experience where you get to the end of one Doctor and who you've like come to really enjoy and really like, and then you have to start again with a new Doctor and you're like, he's not as good as the other one. But then by the end of that person's run, you're like, oh my God, he's the best Doctor. So it's like, it's constantly emotional.
Is it like a phoenix that just the outer shell kind of changes and the memories and the character stays the same, or is it always a new Doctor Who?
Yeah, it's more like the former. He regenerates and gets a new body, but his memories more or less stay the same. So he's aware of everything that he's done in his 900 or 2,000 years of existence, whatever point you jump in. But sometimes when he regenerates, he forgets who he is for a little while, because he's sort of gone through this rebirth. So it's
okay,
cool.
Interesting. So now we have covered how you like to entertain yourself. How do you entertain yourself on a long distance flight? I really hope you don't work on the flight.
Oh no.
Okay.
I just the same way as anybody else. I just get like really, really drunk.
One Bloody Mary for me and for everyone else.
Look, no, I always try and sleep. That's like always my number one goal. Like if I can go to sleep, that's the best thing. But yeah, sometimes I'll load up a series or something like that. I find it hard to. Look, I hate flying. Like I have no fear of flying, but it's incredibly boring and
exhausting.
As an Australian, like to get out of this country, it's 6 hours
at least
minimum.
Yeah.
Like you can fly for 6 hours and still be in Australia. So if I'm going to Europe or America, it's like 24 hours on a plane. Like it's hell. It's hell. So yeah, if I can like sleep, that's what I'll do.
But I mean, even if you go to, let's say, somewhere in Asia, so let's say Thailand, or for instance, then
I think that's 8 or 10
yeah,
hours from where I am.
It's still a long flight, and usually it's a 2-trip flight, right? So you kind of have to land somewhere first and then go for another 5 hours.
No, Bangkok's I think direct.
Is it direct? Okay,
but Bali's direct. Yeah.
But I mean, at some point you can't sleep. I mean, can you sleep for over 10 hours?
No. Yeah. Look, I'll throw on a movie, but it has to be a dumb movie. I can't watch anything too serious, Marvel movie, fantastic,
So
something like that. Like I'll throw that on, but I couldn't watch something. I couldn't watch a piece of cinema.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in the right headspace.
Are you the kind of person who carries then an iPad or something, or do you watch on the in-flight entertainment system, or are you one of those terrible persons who watches a movie on an iPhone on the small screen?
Sorry, no, I wouldn't watch a movie probably on a small screen. I'd watch a TV show though.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Or sometimes like I've done like little smaller like local trips where I've just offlined a bunch of YouTube videos.
I think that's okay as well. But I think on an 8-hour flight and then you watch 8 hours on like a tiny iPhone screen, that is not good for your eyes.
I once was on a flight. It was a pretty long flight. And I watched a movie with Tom Hardy called Bronson. I don't know if you know that one. I know that one. But he plays you know that one?
Yeah, but I didn't watch it. I think he's talking it's very hard to understand, wasn't it? He's kind of mumbling in that one, isn't he?
Yeah. He's got a very thick sort of like working class accent. But it's a movie about this guy who spent the most amount of time in solitary confinement in Britain. Mm-hmm. And it was like 24 years or something that he'd spent in solitary confinement. And the film really portrays his solitary confinement. So it's quite claustrophobic. I watched it on the back of a airplane bloody TV screen like this, which just felt even more. And I was locked in an airplane. It was like the worst movie to ever watch on an airplane. It was really good, but I was just like, oh man, I feel awful.
I love Tom Hardy. He's such a good actor.
Yeah, he's great.
I don't know.
He's probably a jerk though. Do you get that vibe?
I don't know if he's a jerk. I feel like he's like I'm not sure if that's the correct way to describe it, but I imagine he's the typical New Yorker person. I feel that most people in New York, they are not jerks, they are not unpolite, they just need to be somewhere fast, and you're just somewhat in the way.
Hold on, Tom Hardy's if we're talking about the same person, Tom Hardy is English.
Yeah, I know. He's English, but
but that's what you think he is.
Yeah, I imagine, like, I've been to New York twice, and I felt like everyone is just so fast and they're not unpolite, they're not like rude or anything. They're just, get out of my way, I need to go to that meeting. Don't bother me with your hello. Just tell me what you want. I don't want to tell you hello. Just tell me what you want. And I feel like Tom Hardy is similar in that aspect. I can't imagine him being a jerk or anything, but he's like, get to the point, tell me what you want. I don't have time. I need to get to BJJ class. I need to get on my motorcycle. I don't have time to kind of dress up. So that's the vibe that I get from him.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe once he's a little bit, if you know him like for 20 years or so, he probably kind of warms up to you. That's the kind
puppy
of
dog or something.
Yeah, that's the vibe that I get from him. But I don't think he's what?
I don't know. I mean, he's a great actor. I thought his Bane was great, and like every time he pops up in something, I'm like, Tom Hardy's here. All right.
Did you see Warrior?
Yes.
Yeah, that was such a good movie.
That was great.
I kind of teared it. I teared up at the end.
Oh,
having two brothers, battle it out like that. And then,
I know. And like going into it, you wouldn't have thought, this will be an emotional movie.
Yeah, it was so emotional. Yeah. Also, Nick Nolte as the dad, and then that was so good. I really liked Nick Nolte back in the days. I don't remember any of his movies, but I always thought when I saw a movie with him, I was like, that's going to be a good movie. I don't know why. Is he a good actor?
He's a good screaming actor.
Yeah.
He does a good, he's intense, you know.
But do you remember an 80s film? No, now that I think of it, I can't think of any. Why did I like Nick Nolte so much?
I was just trying to think of Nick. Like I think it's probably before our time that his star rose.
Yeah.
So I remember him when he was like a supporting actor in stuff, but he was definitely, wasn't he in like a movie? Was he like an Eddie Murphy buddy movie?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
I really like I don't know how you think about that, but I really like 80s movies. I don't want to be that kind of guy who says everything was better back then, but for some reason everything at the moment, at least the older I get, the more complicated everything get, even movies sometimes, where nothing is black and white in life, right? And with most movies nowadays, you kind of understand villains. For instance, Marvel, I always get that example. Thanos is the perfect villain for me because you kind of understand where he is coming from and why he wants to kind of kill half of the population of the whole universe. You understand why he's doing that. So, and then you suddenly sit there, oh no, I understand why he's so evil. And I get it. And I feel that in 80s movies, it wasn't complicated. It was, you have this villain and you have the good guy and they battle it out and it's so easy. The good guy gets is being a hero while the villain he's just bad. He's just bad. Yeah. It was more simpler back then.
It was definitely more simple, yeah. But also much more racist.
Yes.
So
agreed. Agreed. I mean, I understand why Russians are
Asians,
mad.
Man, and Russians, like if you were any minority in the 80s, you would only get work in a movie as the bad guy.
Yeah.
And like the second you saw an Asian dude, you're like, he's doing kung fu.
Yeah.
He's 100% going to be doing some kung fu in like 2 minutes.
Exactly.
So it was just like, it was,
Oh, he's Russian. He's an accent. He must be a terrorist. He's going to steal Air Force One.
Yep. Exactly. And it's so funny watching that transition because that's what I remember. I remember the Russians being the bad guys. My grandfather's Russian. I never met him, but anyway, and then the shift from the Russians being the bad guys to the Middle Eastern people being the bad guys. Do you remember that? Like around the turn of the century? And it's just like, oh man, like we are so, like if you zoom out, we are so friggin' obvious. Yeah. Like as a culture.
It's weird that it is
Western culture.
So obvious back in the day with so many things. Look at all of the 90s action movies. I mean, Air Force One, then all of the Steven Seagal movies. Rocky. I mean, Rocky is also a perfect example of.
Rocky's great, though.
Yeah, I love the Rocky movies. But I mean, was it Rocky 3 where he battles Ivan Drago? Yeah, I think so. It's so weird, this dynamic USA versus Russia.
Yeah. Dolph Lundgren. That's the name.
And he's not even Russian. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Going.
But, I was just going to say, one of my favorite 80s films of all time is also one of my favorite films of all time, and it's the Back to the Future series of movies.
I love Michael J. Fox.
And that's the bad guy in that is pretty. Yeah, he's just bad. He's just a bad guy.
He's a bully.
He's just a dickhead.
Yeah,
he's a bully. But the story is actually quite complex, and they fold all of this time travel stuff into it,
so
which is
good.
It's really well done.
So good.
And so there was a bit of thinking going on in the 80s too. It wasn't all just.
Yeah, I do like also
boxing.
these. One of my favorite 80s movies of all time that also somewhat made me do a high school year in the USA was The Secret of My Success with Michael J. Fox. I love that movie so much. There's this typical I like underdog stories, and I felt that the 80s did underdog stories so well with the nerdy kid, or then having the American football jock kind of guy who's really popular, gets all of the cheerleaders. And with The Secret to My Success, I really liked the story of him going to New York, trying to get a career, and I don't even know what the business was doing when he got there.
It was probably like stocks.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And also the message of where he tries to get a job and everyone's saying, oh, you have not enough experience. And then the other one, oh, you went to college, you have too much experience. And I really like that because I think, or I believe it still holds true nowadays, where people are really forcing everyone, oh, you have to have experience. No, you don't have to have much experience. And then he's like, yeah, but you need to give me a chance to gain experience. Yeah, but then we give you all of the experience and then you quit and then you go to our competition, so we can't hire you. And I thought that was so interesting and still holds true nowadays.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It's such a great movie. I don't know. Maybe it's not a great movie.
I haven't watched that for a long time.
Maybe it's not great, but
I think Michael J. Fox in his prime could carry anything.
Yeah, Doc Hollywood was also, also good. I don't know. Okay, we have Doc Hollywood. We have Secret to My Success, Back to the Future.
Wolf?
Oh, Teen Wolf. Oh, yeah, Teen Wolf. Then
it's a weird movie, really.
Yeah, the movie where he's working at a hotel. What was it? A concierge to fall in love with?
The Concierge. Yeah. I think that's what it's called. The Concierge. Yeah.
So many movies. Yeah. And I think, as far as I understand, he's still a very down-to-earth person, right? Considering the success.
I think so, yeah. They've just made a movie about him called Still, which I think is on Apple Originals, which I haven't watched yet, but it's a documentary about, I don't know what it's about. I don't know what period of his life it covers, but I think it goes through that era where he was rising, and then his his diagnosis and his advocacy for Parkinson's. So it looks interesting. I'll watch it, but that'll be sad.
Yeah, I think so too. By the way, you mentioned a couple of times in this episode that you are a content creator, that you work for Rushfaster. Have been doing a break from Rushfaster. I would love to know, for you as a content creator, as being a creative, if I would come, or let's say a higher force comes to you, hey Roland, I give you a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers. Here you go. But you have to decide on one specific niche or content, what would you like to do?
Oh, wow. That's pretty hard, isn't it? Well, it's interesting because being in the bag niche is great, but also it's a limitation, right? So, and I heard that you and Chase and Aaron talk about this on the podcast episode just recently, because you do have to sort of choose a niche, right? Like people want you to deliver that thing that they want from you. So the temptation there, I think, would be to choose a niche that gave you some sort of flexibility. You know, like, I mean, Casey Neistat has got flexibility in what he does. Like he's made his channel really just about him and his life. And then he just sort of can naturally fold almost whatever he wants, like product or experience-wise, into that, and it's going to make sense because it's his life. So, not to sound like an narcissist, but I'd probably just make a vlog style about like my life. Look at this, I don't know, some sort of reflection, or I don't know. Shouldn't have drawn attention to it. The Streisand effect. Anyway, no, I'm like sucking on a mint, and I think it's just sort of got on my lip. Anyway.
No worries. It's predominantly audio.
It's real. This is real. Yeah. This is real. Yeah. We're being authentic. But yeah, that's probably what I would make it. That's probably what I would do it about, you know, because then you could sort of like, you could just let your creativity sort of go wild.
Yeah.
Whereas, and this is where I want to flip it back to you. You've been experimenting with the vlog format for your reviews, which I think is really great because it's really engaging. That was always something that I struggled with making bag videos, is like, oh, here we go again. I'm sitting at the desk. Yeah. How do I make this different from the last one? You know, how can I make it interesting? And I would find ways to make it fresh, at least for me. You know, like I would light things differently, or I would do B-roll differently. I went out in the field a couple of times. I occasionally leave my desk and do like little real life tests. But I wonder, like, how has that experience been for you, sort of making the vlogs? Is it more work, or do you find it easier because you're sort of going about your day and you're just documenting your use? What are your thoughts on that?
I think for me, it is very refreshing and creatively sparks more creativity out of me, but only, and I have to really put my thanks to that piece of equipment, that is the Pocket 3, because it is so small and so quickly to deploy. It is easier for me to just shoot something while I'm all about. With bigger camera gear, I noticed that even if it's a smaller camera like the Sony A6300 that I used to have, it's still big and it is still quite noticeable to other people. And that is something that I'm struggling with. As soon as someone sees me filming, I just stop right away. But with a smaller piece of gear, it is much more liberating and easier to just film. And I'm currently in the middle where I say, I don't know what to, in air quotes, vlog, or what I could put into the video that would classify the video overall as a vlog style. But then I'm currently I got this thought this morning that I thought, I don't need to necessarily vlog, but as long as the video has this vlog kind of vibe where I film outside of this room, it just helps to kind of make it a little bit more different. And what I would say to you is I would love to see more shots of your reviews outside. Just because I've never seen the area where you are, because it's not that many shots. Usually when people vlog, it's in the US, right? And I think, it's so boring to kind of show stuff here in Hamburg. And I'm like, no, people probably haven't been in Hamburg, so it's more interesting to them. So in the same it goes to you. I haven't seen so much of Australia besides, and now I need to admit it, I watch a lot of,
You've told me this before,
yeah,
but I think you told me it privately.
There's real estate videos, like what's it called? In Australia, it's called 1 million listing or $1 million listing, and it shows these real estate agents in this kind of non-scripted reality TV style where they show it's my guilty pleasure. I like watching that stuff. And that's the only connection I have to Australia. And so if you would kind of film outside, I don't think you need to necessarily vlog, but if you just show the bag outside, or if
I think
that would be cool.
It would be cool. It would be cool. And, you know, where I live is amazing. Like, I'm not very far from a great beach, and there's a national park. I'm looking at it now, and then I'm 40 minutes from the Opera House.
That would be so cool.
There's like a lot of great stuff around here. The reason that I don't do that, I guess, is kind of similar to you with the big camera, in that, like, it's a setup, right? And also, the workflow that I got to with the videos was quite, because time is precious, right? And videos like that take time. And if I was to plan to go out and go, okay, I'm going to make this video here at the beach with this bag, and then this video here in the park, and then I'm going to take this one to the city, that's adding a lot more time to the video production, you know, whereas I can sort of probably pump out multiple videos in the time that it would take me to do that thing. But I did start doing for Rush Faster on the Rush Faster TikTok, sort of these a day in the life of, and I'd be like, hey, I'm taking this bag to work today, and I'm going to be shooting some headshots, and here's what I've carried, and, like, you know, there's shots of me walking through the city and stuff like that. But I do really like it, but it's just that time thing.
But
you know?
Does it though? I wonder if you couldn't just keep to your A-roll at home or in the studio and shoot B-roll stuff outside. For instance,
I'm probably just making excuses.
Yeah,
I should just do it.
I can highly recommend the Pocket 3. I'm blown away of how much freedom this camera is giving me, because it's small. You can just carry it wherever. It has a very good mic to it. You don't even need to sync it up because it records straight to the camera. I'm never, well, I don't want to say never, but if you put it on a ledge or something and then walk away, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 meters, I'm not that worried that someone notices it, walks by and just grabs it, because it's so small, people don't know what it is, at least for now. If it's a big camera, I'm much more like checking out my surroundings. But with that small of a thing, especially if you just turn off the display, it just stands there. No one notices it. And you can just walk away a couple of meters, then do the typical shot where you show it what it looks like on your back. And just those little small elements can just elevate your video.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. And I watched the panda bag video, and I watched it on my iPhone, but the quality was like, it's great. Yeah. I didn't notice a difference in quality to your normal videos on the iPhone. So yeah, I was very impressed.
The camera is great. I mean, it's still a lot of money, but compared to a mirrorless camera where you might have the body for 600 euros, then you have to buy a mic, then you have to buy a lens. Considering that you can get the camera that includes the lens, a gimbal, a mic, you need to buy an ND filter, but overall you are around 700 euros. I think that is a very good deal, and I've only been using that camera since I've got it. It's really good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And you can use it as a webcam as well. Just FYI.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Is it better? Is it better than the iPhone, the latest iPhone camera? Like, it's probably got a bigger sensor, or
Well, I don't know actually. I don't know how big the sensor is in the iPhone, but the iPhone can record in ProRes, which obviously is a little bit better. But do you really want to record in ProRes while you're on the go? Not sure. I know some filmmakers who do that, attach a SSD to it, but I feel that the more complicated you make it, the less likely is you will film. And I think that is the key factor of the Pocket, because you don't need to worry about it. You just flip it on and then you record. And with the iPhone, I'm not sure. Can you record in ProRes without an SSD?
Yeah, you can. Oh, but I never do. I never even record in log. Like, fuck that shit. Like, what's the point? Like, I'm not going to record in log so that I can grade it worse than like cut the picture profile and do more work. But yeah, I guess the advantage of ProRes is that if you were matching it to a different camera, it would be easier. But yeah, the files are huge.
But let's be real. As long as you have good lighting, and I feel that you have a lot more sunny days than I do, then most cameras will look good. So maybe you should get like this phone clamp or MagSafe tripod adapter, and then just
I've got all that stuff.
See,
that's a good suggestion, Bo.
Because, I mean, just start with the B-roll and then later on. And honestly, if you film on your phone, you have an even better excuse to vlog, because people will just think, oh, that guy is FaceTiming, you know?
That's true. That's true. Everyone's doing it. Yeah. Everyone's always...
That's a much better excuse, actually, if you vlog with a phone. Should be easy. Especially, I would never vlog in a Starbucks or whatever, but if I would just, people in Germany aren't very used to do FaceTime, but I've seen a lot of people doing FaceTime publicly in US. So if I just talk on the phone, then probably, or if I would act as I would talk on the phone, then I think I could get myself to vlog in a Starbucks or whatever. Probably.
I don't think I'd vlog in a cafe. Like,
It's
I'm
so
pretty
weird,
confident.
right?
I don't think I'd vlog in a cafe. I think like walking down the street,
That's different.
I've done that, you know, and I'd do it again, no problems. But it's also easier. Like, so with my work as a content creator, I'm employed by a company, and I have other staff that make videos with me. And whenever I'm recording something like with them and I'm on the street, I have no dramas. Like, it's amazing how just having one extra person with you just gives you so much more confidence to, like, yes, let's do that. Let's do this. And, oh, there's people around. Who cares? Like, whatever, we're doing it. But yeah, you can get very self-conscious, I think, if you're on your own and you're in a space that's a bit weird that you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, for me, it's the perception of, I don't want people think, it sounds stupid, but I don't want people think that I'm like, oh, he's trying to be an influencer, therefore he's vlogging outside. Or is he going to start to dance now? Stuff like that. That is what kind of makes me a little bit worried.
Yeah, it's a bit cringeworthy, isn't it? Because you do see that. You do see people out and about, and they're like taking the photos of themselves, and you're like, you know, okay, that's cool. You
also
just do it, sure.
Also, this I started journaling on my phone, and I do a picture every day for this journal. So whenever I'm going out with my wife and we eat something, I want to take a picture of the food just for the journal. And I'm like always looking around, there's no one looking. And I just quickly grab the phone, clack. And then when I'm looking at the picture, it's all like out of focus and jittery. And I'm like, I'll just take the photo. Just don't care about what other people say.
Yeah, I know. But the whole Instagram taking a photo of your meal thing, that did kill that innocence for us, didn't it?
Totally. And I mean, I get that it's cringe when people are like, okay, no one eats now, everyone stay still. I want to take a picture.
Yeah.
That is terrible. I get that people really despise that. But I just want to make a picture for my channel. Oh, oh click.
Just trying to do, yeah.
It's terrible. So, yeah, thank you so much for answering all of my questions. Do you have anything that you want to talk about, that you have on, that you still want to ask or whatever? Or did you cover everything?
I've covered everything, but I'm going to ask you this question, and just tell me if you've answered this in other forums, and we can just call it a night. But I wanted to ask you about, like, Aaron and yourself have the podcast, and it's been really great to watch. I love the way that you've brought the carry community of YouTube together.
Oh, I'm just a returning guest, by the way.
That's what I wanted to. That's sort of part of what I wanted to know. I wanted to know, like, how that relationship sort of came about, and the idea, and, like, how you're involved. Just love to know the story. I don't know if you've sort of told it before.
No, I haven't actually, or we haven't. It's just, I don't know. We talked so much. He has been on my podcast at least twice, and we have been talking, for the listeners who don't know, we have this WhatsApp group with a couple of the reviewers in the back world, and he and I, outside of that group and with the podcast, we noticed that we vibe a lot, and he just asked me, hey, do you want to come to podcast? And I do enjoy talking with other people a lot, actually. And it's, truth to be told, also somewhat of a plan of mine to, with the rise of artificial intelligence, I noticed, or I put my coins on the personality-driven thing. I see, as a film editor also, I'm always afraid of, or I have respect for all of the new competition that is coming up. I know that at some point in the not too far future, AI will edit stuff by the push of a button. But I think, or I believe, that personality will become much more important for freelancers or for content creators to stay relevant. Because, for instance, going back to the AI thing, I will know that AI might take over my job, but the client will need to know why the AI has done that, or if the decision to edit something that way by the AI makes sense for the brand to use the commercial or the edit that way. And I believe that being a personality will help for clients to, okay, let's go with that guy or that person, because that person can explain to us why something is more important. And being on podcasts, I noticed that for me it got very easier to be in a room with a couple of different people who I don't know, and then start up a conversation and then build a connection to that person or to the client, and having a casual conversation first about the job, then kind of venture off to hobbies or stuff like that, that the client then, oh, that's a decent person to sit in a room with for 8 hours and edit something. And so that is why I really enjoy doing this podcast. And long story short, that's why Aaron and I kind of vibed, and he said, hey, do you want to join the podcast a couple of times? And that's how that came about. And I really like that, talking to other people. And Aaron has a completely different style of his podcast, like the verses or the hot takes. And that has been a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to be on more podcasts with him in the future, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, they're great to watch. And it's always interesting how the dynamic changes when there's a different guest on.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. So I think it's really cool. I like what you're both doing.
Yeah, I think podcasts are so much fun, especially after COVID. where we have been stuck in our homes and places and didn't have connection. And I felt that podcast, especially being me, as I believe I'm the only German bag reviewer, if I'm not totally mistaken. So being able to connect with you, for instance, it's so cool. And at some point,
It is really cool. It's really cool, yeah.
I would love, Australia is so high on my list of places to visit, and just knowing, oh, there's a person there that I'm, at least from my perspective, maybe you're stopping the recording and say, oh, finally I'm finished talking to Bo. From my perspective, I really enjoy the conversations we have, and I think I would love to just hang out with you and see what kind of places you go to enjoy music. Maybe you are also a little bit into ska, and I always wanted to have someone to go to a ska gig or something. That would be fun.
Oh, yeah. Look, Bo, if you ever come to Australia, I'll hook you up. Let's hang out. 100%. 100%.
That would be so cool. I mean,
I'm waiting for that to happen because I'm in these WhatsApp groups as well.
Yeah.
And it's great because there are people from all over the world and you get random messages popping up at random times. And yeah, I'm waiting for it to happen when one of us gets together with another one of us.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
You know?
I mean, the only problem is you would live way too far away. From Germany, there's actually a 24-hour travel.
Oh, yeah.
That's
You
so
have
far.
to stop in Paris or London or something.
It's so far.
Oh, yeah. Long way away.
But it is, I would love to visit Australia. I always wanted to see a wombat, kangaroo. I want to meet, I don't want to see all of those dangerous creatures, but yeah, I would like to see that. Anything else? I mean, the climate looks amazing. It seems like everyone can walk around with a t-shirt. That's cool. What else? What's typical food of Australia?
We have a lot of Asian food, right?
Yeah.
Because we're quite close to Asia. So people joke that, Thai food is our national food or something like that. But look, I would say the food's generally high quality.
Yeah, but what's the typical Australian food?
There isn't one. We took this land off the indigenous people 200 years ago. There's we haven't created anything yet that's Vegemite toast. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Vegemite.
The sausage roll. But so it's a real fusion.
Okay.
It's a real melting pot. We're very multicultural. And that's the cool thing, right? There's little pockets of especially in Sydney and Melbourne, suburbs that were, when the immigrants came over, they would all sort of congregate together. So there's suburbs that are very Greek, and suburbs that are very Vietnamese, and suburbs that are very Italian. And then they all have these great, cheap eats restaurants and whatnot. And so, yeah, it's sort of all over the place. I think food here is pretty good.
Okay.
I think, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. I remember when I went to Germany, it was just salami or some sort of cured meat and cheese. That was it for every meal. And then on television, they just had all these ads for constipation relief. And I was like, yeah, no wonder you need that stuff when all you're eating is processed meat and cheese.
Yeah,
guys, let's just have some fruit.
When have you been here? In what year?
I was there in 2008. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, but I do see what you're saying. It's a lot of meat. It has changed a lot over the last few years, but I get what you're saying. Back then, it was
great because at the time I loved beer and I loved sausages, so it was perfect. But it's just
But the correlation between the food and the constipation.
It was they weren't making the link. It was just as a nation, we are very constipated. I was yeah. Couldn't imagine why that might be, guys.
Yeah, it's a very fair point.
It's a national emergency.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
That was the perfect ending. And if you want to shout and tell Roland, your opinion about the hot takes, the many hot takes that you had during this. Where can people find you?
Well, you can go and dig through the archives of Rush Faster on YouTube. I'm there, and also on TikTok. Go have a look. Leave me comments. My out of office is currently on, but I'll respond when I return. Send me what you got.
A lot of angry Germans will contact you. Probably.
Right. I'll call up head office and be like, guys, I'm going to take a little bit of a longer break than expected. I got a bit of heat on me at the moment.
Yeah, so a lot of angry Germans.
I've pissed off Germany.
You're pissed
anybody who likes mystery ranch.
Yeah, exactly. That's just what I wanted to say.
Bad combination of people.
The whole Rush.
I'm safe. I'm all the way over in Australia, so it's all good, man. I'm
exactly.
surrounded by water,
but
sharks.
It would be funny if someone from Rush Faster is like calling you, dude. What's about with all of the Germans now commenting on all of the video? What's going on? So
blame Bo.
I'm just going to the store and get some constipation medicine for myself.
Okay. Good luck with that. I hope everything works out.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time and talking to me again. It was a lot of fun and a pleasure, as always. And everyone, don't forget to check out Roland at Rush Faster, and we hear you in the next episode. Thank you very much.